Welcome to the show. This episode, we're looking at the Microsoft Surface Book 3. Amazon's got some new tech for your car, and open banking arrives in Australia. This week, no tech news because we had the opportunity to catch up and talk with Microsoft about the Surface Book 3. We had a chat to them a bit earlier. For the last few years, I've been using a Microsoft Surface Book. I started with the Surface Book 1 and then transferred to the Surface Book 2. And along the way, it's been a valuable technology companion for me to help me run my business, and also the elements outside my business like entertainment and those kinds of things. And now they've got the Surface Book 3, and I thought we'd have a chat with Robin Seiler from Microsoft as part of their devices business. Robin, how are you?
I'm doing really well, actually. It's a sunny day in Seattle, and that doesn't happen very often.
Well, it's a sunny day here as well, but a very, very cold one. Now, I want to talk to you about the Surface Book 3 because it's one of those premium notebooks that includes so much in it. There were a couple of things in the Surface Book 2 that I would have liked to see included, so I'll talk to you about that and whether you've included them in the 3 or not. But overall, just to tell people about the Surface Book, it's a premium device, but who are the kind of people that are buying this product first and foremost?
Yeah, we think about a range of people when we talk about Surface Book, and mostly the word that we use is really creators, and creation can mean different things to different people. But we think about, for example, developers, people who create code. And when we built Surface Book 3, we spent a lot of time talking to developers and understanding what was really important to them. And so you see things in Surface Book 3 like the massive increase in power and performance. It has up to 32 gigs of RAM. It goes up to 2 terabytes of storage. It has a super fast SSD, which is a big request from developers because that throughput, that I/O is super important to them as they're compiling code. And then also, the other audience that is really important for us here is people who do intensive professional desktop work, things like SolidWorks, Revit, Visual Studio, Adobe, all of those that have significant graphics requirements. And then the third category that we think about is those two groups of people, and then add on the desire to game. Certainly, as we are all in this situation where we're working from different places, we are still working from home, and we've been told at Microsoft that we will probably work from home through October. People are looking for a separation from work and home, and gaming is often that outlet. And so Surface Book 3 gets you to 60 frames per second of your favorite Xbox Game Pass games. And some people don't realize it actually includes the protocol for an Xbox controller. So if you love your Xbox controller, you can actually connect it using the Xbox proprietary protocol and have an amazing gaming experience.
The interesting thing is you talk about creating content. There's been a number of times where I've been leaning up against the wall at a technology conference, just cutting up a video for a client that needed it turned around immediately after their press conference was finished, for example, and it works really well in those situations. There was one thing on the Surface Book 2 that it didn't have was that Thunderbolt port. Have you added that in the 3? Is there a reason why that's not included in the 3 if you haven't?
Yeah, when we build any device, we spend time thinking through who the right customer is for that device. And so when we look at these audiences that I just talked about, creators, developers, gamers, there are a lot of things that are important to them, but generally on discrete GPU graphics is typically the most important. And when you look at what Thunderbolt is used for, usually it is connecting large file shares or offloading graphics. And we put those in the book itself. And so from a customer-oriented perspective, Thunderbolt was not the direction that we decided to go.
Okay. The interesting thing about a Surface Book, the series, has always been that you can disconnect the screen, you can do it quite easily, and then all of a sudden one device becomes two, a tablet that you can use, you can draw on it, and it's always been very, very good at doing that. I've never found that I've actually ever wanted to disconnect the screen from the device, but it has made it very, very easy to use my Smart Pen for all the inking that I want to do. Am I the only one that's doing that, or are you seeing that with other customers too?
When you think about building a device and you get focused on that customer, you think through the scenarios that they would want to use. And we have this concept of not interrupting your flow. And when we're talking about flow, we're talking about the ability to get your ideas out into your device, out into the world. And so every point of friction interrupts your flow. And so the ability to write in a natural way is one of the key reasons why we created the detachable top. And so we do absolutely find people using it, mostly connected to pen. But I will relate this a little bit to my life today. I'm a book user. I'm talking with you right now through my Surface Book 3. And I get up in the morning and I do some email at the kitchen table, and I am typing, just like any laptop. But then I work out and I detach my top and I put it on the treadmill, and I have this beautiful 15-inch display while I watch TV. And, I have two boys, and later they get on and, they're watching on a little phone, and I feel a little bit spoiled. But it's such a great experience. And then through the day, I actually work with my screen reversed. And so I use a additional keyboard and mouse to create my desktop. It allows me to put my display at eye height, so I've got good eye contact with the people that I'm talking to. And it creates a very comfortable desktop for me. And then in the evenings, because I love photography, I flip it back around and I do Photoshop on it because it has the power and performance I need to do that. And so through my day, Book is versatile enough to work the way that I want to work in each of those different moments.
It's interesting because it's a premium notebook, and everyone, and I'm not going to mention the other brand, but everyone thought that when you were bringing it out, you were just bringing out the competitor to this other brand. But it's very, for me, it's never been about this versus something else. This is almost sat in its own sort of unique silo in the portable device market, right? It sits there being its own thing, almost creating its own sector. Was that the goal?
It's always the goal. If you think about where we started with Surface Pro, we created a concept that didn't exist in the market. And our idea behind Surface at that time was how can we enable people to do more? And that's really kind of stuck with us all the way through. And the ability for people to do more means being flexible around the way that they want to work. And that customer-centered focus allows us to innovate in areas that you may not think about. And you certainly don't think about only if you look at the competition and try and build on where they are.
It's interesting, Robin, because I'll go back to the Surface Book 1. I used it, and I used it extensively for my business and assisting me with my business. And then like a lot of the products that I use, and for many, and it worked very well. But the real test is when you hand it off to your kids. Is it going to get trashed in the first 3 months and break and all that? But here we are many years later, and it's still going strong to this day. The build quality of the device. And you obviously put a lot of R&D into that. You're not just a strong spec sheet, but you actually do a lot of product testing around ensuring that over time it keeps performing too.
Yes. We when we build a product, it's design, development, and quality. Those are the three legs of the stool. And if you come to Redmond, we should take you through our quality lab, where we can show you all of the tests that we put our devices through, dropping them from different levels, simulate them, falling off of your desk or falling out of your bag. We have a backpack test for, kids carrying devices and all of the other stuff that's in their backpack that will scratch it up. So yeah, quality is incredibly important for us. And I also have a few Surface Book 1s floating around my house that I cannot pry out of the hands of my family.
Well, Robin, if you come to my house, I'll show you a couple of our tests, which is leaving the device on top of the fire mantle. That one's quite an interesting one. Removing the device from the dog's mouth. There's a whole range of tests we could add to your lab that I'm sure would make things even more interesting. Look, so that's Surface Book 3. Surface Go 2 is another device which you've released as well, obviously moving into that straight tablet market. Interesting, because you're not in the mobile phone space anymore. All your apps are in there though, and doing some great stuff there, but you continue to push ahead in the tablet space.
Yeah, different form factors for different people are important because nobody is the same. And optimizing for different ways that people work or think or learn is really important. So when we think about the Surface Go, we think about a set of customers such as schools or children with the environment that we're in, where people are trying to work, learn, and connect from home. We are seeing the world moving from a single device in every household to a single device for every person. If you think about trying to ensure that your kids are learning as much as they can, the ability of a product like Surface Go, which integrates pen with great camera experience, sets you up for success. And with this version of Surface Go, we did a couple of things. A performance improvement. We have studio mics so that we have great sound going into the device. And we increased the size of the display to 10.5 inches. It was previously 10 by thinning the bezels. Of course, it also has an LTE option. In the first few months of working from home, it felt like every time I was on a call, somebody was talking about their internet provider van sitting outside the house, and folks with LTE were pretty happy to be able to stay connected.
Also, just finally, Robin, if I've got the Surface Book 2, which I have, what's the main reason I'm going to upgrade to the Surface Book 3?
There's a few. Certainly from a performance perspective, it's a big deal. Surface Book 3 is the fastest device that we've ever shipped. It's 50% more performance. It has the longest battery life of any Surface device. It has 17 and a half hours in the 15-inch. And when you do detach your screen, it detaches 3 times faster, and we manage the use of the GPU if you have an app that is using the GPU. And so end to end, it's a fantastic experience. And if you go up to, 1 or 2 terabytes to store all of your stuff, that's an M.2 2280 SSD, which means it will scream.
I love it. All right, Surface Book 3 and the Surface Go 2 is rolling out across Australia at the moment, in the world, in fact, to a whole bunch of different markets. Go check it out. It is a very good device. I've been using the 2 for a number of years. The 1 before that, well worth a look if you are most certainly one of the people that Robin mentioned at the beginning of the discussion. But really, in my view, anyone's going to get value out of these devices. Robin Seiler from Microsoft, thanks for coming on and talking about some of your latest devices.
Thanks for your time. I really appreciate it.
LG's investment in its OLED display technology over the years has meant the technology is improving, and the range of sizes and different designs has also evolved.
The days where OLED technology would cost you an arm and a leg are gone, and with OLED TVs becoming more accessible, customers ought to know the advantages of the technology over traditional displays. OLED stands for Organic Light Emitting Diode. Despite the similarity of the name to LED LCD TVs, The technology behind the display is different. Instead of using a backlight shining through a colour filter to provide light for the image, each pixel in an OLED display is its own light source. LG's focus on Dolby compatibility across its OLED range means customers will receive the best audio-visual experience available. Dolby Vision ensures you get excellent HDR quality for better contrast between bright and dark scenes. Dolby Atmos means you get an immersive surround sound experience that mimics a surround sound speaker setup in your living room.
LG's OLED range has gotten bigger and better this year with new image processors, more sizes available, and more form factors. Starting with the entry-level OLED panels on the B series and ending with the final word in home cinema, the LG Signature 88-inch OLED 8K.
With a huge 88-inch display size, no detail is lost thanks to its 8K resolution, powering 33 million pixels. LG improved upon the A9 Gen 2 processor from the C series, enabling it to upscale lower resolution content. And when proper 8K content becomes more widely available, the Signature OLED 8K will be ready for it. The Signature OLED 8K also comes with its own TV stand and powerful inbuilt soundbar for a premium audio experience.
No matter your budget or your size requirements, LG's OLED range has an option for you, providing the best available image quality through OLED's individually lit pixels and LG's powerful image processors, quality of life features like voice control that make it easy to reach all your favorite content, and compatibility with digital formats like Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos for the best at-home cinema experience around.
On Lite for Technology now, let's talk car technology, because obviously being able to add new pieces of tech to the car makes the experience of driving even better. A lot of the stuff that we've talked about in the past is dash cams and Bluetooth transmitters and even Wi-Fi solutions that you sit in the power socket of the car to bring internet to everybody while you're driving. But this time, the guys at Amazon have got a new product with their Amazon Echo Auto, and Jeff Quattromani, tech expert, friend of the show, is here to talk to us more about it. How are you, Jeff?
Really well, Charlie.
Look, do I really want to add Amazon technology into my car? What am I going to get from doing that?
Look, I think for me, this has been an extension of the smart home. When you think about having a smart speaker in the house, which you're already using to, ask questions, control some lights or appliances, this is taking that device and then putting it in the car. You're essentially saying that wherever I go, I want to be able to continue my conversation with Alexa, meaning that I could always ask how long it's going to take me to get to the office. But I could also be potentially saying, have I left the hair straightener on? Alexa, turn off the hair straightener, if you do have control of those things in the home.
And I guess, the question I want to understand is, why would I buy a separate device when I can get this by just having my smartphone on the dock in the car?
It's a really good question, and it's something that I was toying with as well. And for me, it is actually getting the phone out of the picture. So if you want to drive as safe as possible, eyes on the road and just talking, this is where this product really works. It's got 8 microphones built into it. And if you have it mounted on an air conditioning vent or even just sitting on top of the dashboard, it hears you really well. And to be honest, Alexa is one of those better voice assistants compared to Siri, where it actually can do a lot more. It will understand most of the commands that you're making. But for controlling music, navigation, but also going back to control the smart home, I think this is a very smart device that, again, adds that extra level of safety when you're driving.
All right, let's talk about how you set it up, because I remember asking the guys at Amazon a bunch of questions about this, because you Bluetooth to the device, you Bluetooth to your car stereo, you have to have your phone in the picture as well as sort of the nucleus of all the connectivity. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is a little bit confusing to understand, but the Echo Auto uses Bluetooth to connect to your smartphone. Your smartphone is obviously using the internet to do all of that data work, as in, processing music commands and smart home controls and things like that. And then your phone is connected to the infotainment system in the car. So you've got this Bermuda Triangle of communication going on between the 3 devices that when you talk to Echo Auto, it's communicating to your phone, and that audio is being processed through your car stereo. So whether it's controlling music or whatever answers or questions you're asking the Echo Auto, all of it's being processed through the phone itself, but then delivering that audio experience through the car.
Do you get Bluetooth dropouts with this level of complexity that we're talking about here?
Look, I think there is some handshaking going on, and I have noticed instances where it does seem to fail, where Echo Auto feels like it can't communicate with my phone, or it feels like it's lost its internet connection, which again is coming from the phone. So I do think that while the phone is trying to manage this relationship between Echo Auto and your car, there are instances in my experience where it just doesn't work, and you wonder why. You're looking at everything, it seems all connected. Your phone still has 4G signal, and you wonder what's going on. So there are instances in my time where it just doesn't work at all. But ask again, and it seems to come back to you.
So the other thing I want to understand very quickly before we go, do you leave the device on the dash when you go in, when you park the car, for example? I mean, is it worth that much that somebody would smash a window to steal it? Where are we at there with sort of theft protection and the value of this for the car?
Look, it's $79, so I'd be very surprised if someone broke into your car to steal it. And honestly, it's kind of useless if you took it out of the car, because it doesn't work unless it's really got that perfect pairing situation going on. So I've left it in the car. I'm not too concerned about it. Honestly, if someone broke into my car to steal this, I think they've got other concerns to worry about.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. It's available now. The Amazon Echo Auto. It's interesting piece of kit. Not sure if it's right for me, but look, definitely going to help a lot of people who want to have that more integrated, hands-free experience while they're driving. Jeff Quattromani, friend of the show, tech expert. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Charlie.
This is Genie, the touchscreen device delivering your favorite streaming entertainment. It's smart, safe, and fits in your pocket.
You'll notice that Genie has no cameras, as this is an entertainment device. Every Genie has Bluetooth and Wi-Fi connectivity, a 5-inch plastic touchscreen, FM radio receiver, and a 2,200 mAh battery. We've also included basic parental controls allowing you to pin lock the apps and settings on every Genie. Don't know the pin? Then you can't open the app. There are 3 versions of Genie: Genie, Genie Plus, and Genie Connect. Genie is perfect for listening to apps like Spotify and Apple Music with limited distractions. Genie Plus has the same hardware but is a Google-registered device. So we've pre-installed some Google services like YouTube, Google Maps, and Chrome, and you can download and install your favorite apps via the Google Play Store. Genie Connect is just like the Genie Plus, but with 4G connectivity. Your Genie Connect will stream your favorite entertainment via Wi-Fi and 4G, make and receive calls, and also text. With Genie Connect, we've included the ability to personalize the incoming and outgoing call and SMS experience using our preloaded call block. Block or approve incoming calls and SMS traffic as you decide. Find your Genie, a safer, smart device.
Open banking is now upon the people of Australia. Other areas of the world are experiencing similar rules around how our data is able to be managed and used. And I thought with open banking coming in for the Australian market from July 1, we should have a talk about what it is, what it means for banking customers and banking businesses. Marie is from TrueLayer and she joins us to talk about open banking. How are you, Marie?
I'm doing good. Good morning.
And thank you very much for your time today. Look, open banking, what is it, firstly, that open banking is that we haven't had in the Australian market up until now?
The idea of open banking is quite simple. It's that anytime you use a financial product, the data you generate when you use that financial product is yours to make use of. So it's not just data that the bank can use, it's also data that you could use to get better pricing, better access, and better services. And so open banking is about making that data shareable.
So we're generating this data every single day, right? And probably more and more than ever before, especially during COVID, because of the suggestion of tap and pay versus cash payments. Is that something that you've seen?
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen a huge increase in digital payments, digital transactions, people not wanting to go into the branch to open new accounts, change their accounts, and open banking makes a lot of those interactions much more seamless and more secure.
So then let's look at open banking and the benefit of it to the customer. What's the attraction for me as a banking customer to take advantage of this new form of banking or rule set around banking and my data?
I'd say the big advantage is that if you think about the last time you called your bank to renegotiate your mortgage rate or your loan rate, it's probably not happened that frequently because it's kind of a pain. And let's be honest, most of us don't do it. And the benefit of open banking sharing is that it will become much more easy for you to do that either through new third-party applications that securely make use of that data for you and do that work for you, or through the fact that the banks themselves realize that new competitors are coming in and are able to see the data and that they'll maybe proactively step up their game a bit.
So let's talk about how this is going to work then, all right? And I understand what you're saying, but look, let's be realistic that there are countries in the world, Australia's one of them, where mortgage customers barely will pick up the phone to the bank to get a better deal, right? And that's often an easier way to get 0.25% or part thereof off your mortgage rate. So if we're not even doing that now, how is it that all of a sudden that all because of this new data regulation, we're going to start doing it? What's going to change if we're not even just picking up the phone to our bank now?
The big thing that will change, and what we've seen in Europe in our experience of doing open banking related services for the last 2 years, is that you get really great new apps that are much more seamless than picking up the phone. And it's much more easy to actually get all the terms of the product that you're on and then share your actual usage data with a new third party or with your bank in a way that they can calculate a more appropriate rate. So as opposed to you having to, fill in a spreadsheet or get out a paper statement or remember what the actual terms of your mortgage are, it's all going to be there in a way that's easy for you to share. And the apps that are using the data will be much more easy to use, and it'll be easier to connect the banks to these new apps and share the data between them.
Marie, in a world where people are quite happy to use apps which grab all this private information, and I'm not pointing anyone out here, but let's mention TikTok, right? We're happy to use TikTok, yet we know that TikTok grabs all this private information about what's on our smart devices when we're using it. Is it safe for us to then be given the keys to our banking data to then share with third-party apps? I mean, is that something that we should be concerned about, that all of a sudden people are going to be handing over a lot more information, really personal information, to third parties, and they may not understand where that data is going to be going and how it's going to be used?
The big benefit about the consumer data right, which is the name for the law in Australia, so the open banking law, is that it's very tightly controlling who actually gets access to the data and what sort of disclosures they have to make about how they're going to use the data. So it's something that there's an accreditation process, so companies will actually have to go through a process to getting a seal of approval from a regulator to look at whether their governance is correct, whether they're treating the data right, and that should increase the security and trust from consumers a lot.
So there has been a fairly large padlock put on the gate of this by the authorities to ensure that we, even if we're not thorough enough with our investigations ourselves, our data is going to be protected in how it's used.
Correct, absolutely. And that's ultimately, as you said before, most of us don't call our bank even. So who's to say that we're going to do all this due diligence on these applications? So that logo of CDR recipient should be a real sign of trust.
You mentioned this has been in place in Europe for the last couple of years. What have you seen, or what has the market seen in terms of services and product benefits to customers since open banking was inputted in those markets?
At the highest level, it's really enabled the growth of a bunch of new personal finance management tools. So you have cool apps like Plum and Chip and others who basically use these APIs to pull in the data and then put AI on top of it and give you recommendations about how to manage your money better and give you early warnings. Then it's also really innovated on the lending front. So if you are someone who's borrowing from a credit provider, those credit providers are starting to use these secure data feeds to give you a much more personalized rate and give you much more insight into whether a product is actually appropriate for you. And now we're starting to see it go into whole new areas of the market. So we're starting to see, for instance, e-commerce platforms use the data to verify your identity, which is much simpler than having to dig out your passport or your driver's license number or similar processes. And then I think off the back of that, it's everything to do with any process where your banking data could help the company make a better decision for you and give you a better price. And ultimately, the banks are also starting to catch up and up their pricing, as in lower their pricing, up their pricing game.
So I guess you could say that instead of us having to do the shopping around is being done for us by the banks and financial institutions and third parties.
Absolutely right. And in Australia, actually, the likes of Finder and other comparison sites are definitely looking at the consumer data right on how they can do that work for you.
Interesting. The other concern, I guess, is always going to be around protection of data. And whenever we hear about about changes to banking and financial data that we've got, I guess one of the concerns would be, are we creating new honeypots of data that could be hacked or attacked by unscrupulous cyber criminals? What's the risk there?
Definitely a risk to be aware of. The fact that there is an accreditation process reduces that risk. The approach that the regulator has taken is that third parties that want to participate essentially have to have the same level of security that a bank has. And in that sense, the banks are the ultimate honeypots of data, and it shouldn't reduce the risk disproportionately compared to the benefits that we're going to get from being able to share it more securely. And one other thing to consider is that some of this data sharing is happening today in less secure ways, and it's going to hopefully replace a lot of that.
Okay, very interesting. I guess at the end of the day, what we're looking for is a more open and transparent system and a mechanism where customers can get a better deal on their services, mortgages, credit cards, whatever it might be, if those deals are out there. Is that what we're heading toward?
That is definitely what we're heading towards. And it's about the financial deals you're getting. It's also beyond that about the support you're going to be able to get from the third-party applications in managing your money. So once you've got all the best products, you still kind of can use them to manage your day-to-day spending and find opportunities for how you might be able to set yourself up better and your family better.
Well, the days of us sitting around at family barbecues and talking about our mortgage rates and being horrified by how much extra we're being paid by some of our friends could be behind us. Hopefully, we'll wait and see. Open banking is here in Australia. It's been running in Europe for the last couple of years. The guys at TrueLayer are all over it. Marie, thank you very much for your time today, and we appreciate your insights.
Thank you very much, and let's hope we can get barbecues going sooner rather than later.
Good on you, Marie. Thank you.
The Nintendo Switch is a great console for use at home or for taking with you for gaming on the go. Here's a rundown of the latest games, bundles, and system types. The Switch comes in a few different variants these days. The cheapest is the Switch Lite, which is a bit smaller and more portable than the regular Switch. But the trade-off is it's only usable in handheld mode. Priced at $298, it's about $100 cheaper than its big brother and comes in a bunch of different colors. The regular Switch goes for $398 and can plug into the TV for couch gaming. Currently, there's a bundle with Mario Kart 8 included, and there's always plenty of great deals on the Nintendo eShop for digital purchases. If you're looking to bundle up, Red One's Switch Starter Pack provides everything you need to get started on the Switch. The Switch Starter Pack comes with a case for either the Switch or Switch Lite, a screen protector, charging cables for both USB and car charging, thumbstick grips, a cleaning cloth, and a game case for your cartridges. The Starter Pack goes for $68 with over $100 worth of products included. As for games, Nintendo is one of the biggest companies in the business, with some of the most popular series of all time. One of the latest is Luigi's Mansion 3, based on an old favorite from the Nintendo GameCube days, now available for the Switch. In the game, players control Luigi navigating a haunted hotel with riddles and puzzles to solve. So if you're after a gift for the kids or for yourself this Christmas, the Nintendo Switch has a lot to offer.
This segment is brought to you by Gme, the safer smart device. Lots of questions coming through over the week via emails and a few questions on the comments as well. Leave them with us. We will get to them on the show. John has had a problem with printing, and John, unfortunately, is not the only one who's had this problem. It's been a theme of Windows 10 users over the past month since Microsoft released a security update that plays havoc with printers all over the world. Not all of them, of course, but a great many of them. Now, what John needs to do is roll back that security update and then hide the update in his update settings to ensure that that security update doesn't just reinstall itself. The update is the KB4557957 security patch that it's auto-installed onto Windows 10 devices. And when you uninstall it, the bulk of people are finding they can once again print all over again. Of course, Microsoft's working on a patch that doesn't do this to your computer, and it'll be out any day soon. But until then, uninstall the update, you'll be able to print again. That's questions for this week. Thank you for tuning in. That's all we've got time for this week. Don't forget our radio show is on 8 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Saturday morning, we'll have a Cybershack TV episode. July 18 on Channel 9 plus cybershack.com for more tech news and other cool tech stuff as we release it during the month. We'll see you next week.